Well, she has been a pioneer for disability rights in Israel, serving as a member of Knesset. And since October 7th, she's taken on an even bigger role, communicating Israel's story to the deaf community. Joining us now is Shirly Pinto, along with her translator, Leah. Thank you so much for joining us today, both of you. It's an honor to have you in the studio. To start, I'd love to hear from you. How did you come about telling Israel's story, and what happened on October 7th? How are you communicating that to the deaf community?
Well, since October 7th, like anyone else here in Israel, I woke up on Saturday morning. It was lucky that my phone was near to me and vibrate, and I felt it. All my family are deaf. We went into the shelter in our house, and I started to record what happened in my own house. My children were all day long in the shelter, what we are doing, the rockets and everything. And then I said, it's good for a million of views in Instagram, 500,000 of people watching the other video. A lot of people, deaf people from another country, asking me questions. What really happened? What do you think about it? How we can help you? And I want to tell you, around all the world, there is 70 million deaf people who speak in sign language. It's a lot. Of course, that everyone speaks different sign language, but we have the international sign language that is connecting us. It's like your English. So I started to making a video, one after one, in international sign language. And after that, I enjoyed to volunteer to a group of ambassador of Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Diaspora for explaining the Israeli story. And I'm still doing that today, year after October 7th, because the world needs to know what happened. Even now, the hostages in Gaza are fighting in Lebanon. It's not an easy fight.
Absolutely, absolutely. I wanted to ask you about the community here in Israel. I mean, how has the community struggled during this very difficult war, and how can the rest of Israeli society support them?
I will tell you that in a personal story. I think it's like the most possible to understand that. My mother, she's deaf and blind. She cannot see and cannot hear nothing. And she lives in the north of Israel, in Kiryat Bialik. She cannot hear the alarms. She cannot see the alarms in the TV if there is something. So this is the worst situation that people can be at war. And every day there is alarms. And she already rocket on her city, and I text her, Mom, there is a rocket, you need to go to the shelter. And it takes time till she realized what happened. So there is a IDF app, like anyone else using, that people are deaf knowing there is an alarm because of the IDF app. But unfortunately, this app, you should have the phone in your hand all the time if you take a shower, if you are driving, if you want to eat, if you're sleeping, if you want to play with your children, if you want to do another thing, you cannot know there is alarms. And in my mother's case, it's worse because she cannot see and hear. So it's a very difficult situation. I take this personal story to explain to people watching us the hard situation that people with disability still feeling in this war. For example, the deaf people. Until now, 1 year after October 7th, my mother is still alive, and there's no another people of disability that get killed because this not access situation. It's a lucky. I know that myself, I trying to take more safe stuff that I can do because I cannot hear the alarms when I'm driving. I all the time with my phone in my hand, all the time trying to be attention about what happened. It's very hard.
I was actually going to ask you, practically speaking, how does the deaf community know when there's a rocket alarm? You mentioned your mother, but in addition to that, in general, how do they find out when, in some cases you have 15 seconds? How do they know?
In January, in the beginning of this year, I was alone at my house. It was evening. My husband was not at the house. I watching the news, and I have 2 dogs. My 2 children are deaf or sleeping in their own bed. And suddenly, I saw that my dog very nervous. And they ran into the shelter and going out and running to the shelter. It looked very weird for me, but I told to myself, there is nothing in my phone. I not seen there is alarms in the TV, but I told myself, okay, I will not take the risk. I listened to my dog. I took my 2 children, I ran into the shelter, closed the door, and after 10, 15 seconds after I closed the door, the alarms came on my phone in the app. Because there is a problem. There's a big problem about the Wi-Fi. And I thought to myself, what happened if I didn't listen to my dog and the rocket was on my house? There is more 100,000 people who are having a problem if you're hearing, half hearing, deaf, and they cannot have the access way to know there is a rocket. And it's a very hard situation.
Absolutely. A very, very difficult situation for those with disabilities, and such important work that you're doing to help the world and, of course, those with disabilities understand. Last question. Can you tell us a little bit about your work for those with disabilities? I know you did a lot of work in the Knesset with this issue.
Yes. My entire life, I work for disability people, right? This is my life mission. All the kind of disability people. Of course, much stronger this year because what happened since October 7, and also when I was serving in a member of Knesset. And now I promote a Purple Homefront program that I write it because all the problems that I told you about the rockets, about people with disability that does not have solution when to go to an access shelter, people with on the spectrum that need help, need a medication, need to go to a safe place. And the country, unfortunately, don't have a plan for them. So I write a plan called Purple Homefront Plan that this is the first plan, I think, in the whole world, that's talking how to make access, a solution access for people with disability in an emergency situation. I was in London. I met a member of parliament, showed them the plan, and was for them it was amazing because they didn't thought to do a plan like that. I'm not talking just because a war situation, every emergency situation. If there is like COVID that we had and everything, we need to have a solution for people with disability. So every country has to take this program and promote it. It's to save life.
Absolutely. A very, very international and important cause. I want to thank you, Shirly, for coming in and for everything that you're doing for those with disabilities.
Thank you.
I hope that more people watching...
And think about what you're doing for us, Bara, for us. I see that.
Thank you, thank you. And I hope that more people watching will pay attention to this issue, as it is something incredibly, incredibly important and can really save lives. Thank you, Shirly, and of course, Leah.
Thank you.